What's up, world? Welcome to the very first episode of MagiK and the Modern Psychonaut, a podcast that is dedicated to helping you find safe spaces to dive deeper into your healing journey. Legal disclaimer to start, because why not? And especially because this is going on YouTube this time. Whoop, whoop. For those of you that are brand new, I also have another podcast out, The MagiK and Daily Endurance, and this one is shifting directions, and I'm really excited about it. So, legal disclaimer. This podcast does not endorse or encourage the use of psychedelic substances or any illegal activities. The information provided is for educational and informational purposes only. It is important to be aware of and comply with the laws and regulations in your jurisdiction regarding the use of such substances that will be talked about on this podcast. Always consult with a qualified healthcare professional before making any decisions related to your health or well-being. So welcome to the very first episode. My name is Jess Meister, and I have been on this massively wild, cool journey for the past 4 years. And my goal is just to share everything that I have learned, everything that I have experienced myself, bring on people who have also dove down this path of psychonauts, and just realizing that it doesn't only have to be a psychedelic journey. It can also be plant medicine that is medicinal, which is so beautiful to be able to bring this stuff to the world. And I'm so excited to share all of this with all of you. What is a psychonaut? You may be wondering. I Googled this and it got cut off, so I'm not really sure what the rest of it is supposed to say. If y'all Google it, let me know and I'll add it to an episode, what it's fully supposed to say. Clearly, I didn't Google long enough. Anyway, clinical psychiatrist Jan Dirk Bloom, I have no idea who this person is, describes psychonauts as denoting the exploration of a psyche by means of techniques such as lucid dreaming, brainwave entertainment, sensory deprivation, and the use of hallucinogens or entheogens. And that's just where I'm going to stop reading. So I am so excited to talk about this. And for some reason, I'm super nervous about this, possibly because it's going on YouTube and it's videoed. And I've never done videos for my podcast. I've just recorded it and put it out. And this time I actually want to share the experience on a different platform, showing people's faces and just allowing people to authentically show up as themselves within this process. A little bit about my background. I was in a corporate world for 12 years. And 5 years ago, I decided to take a leap of faith and just listen to the messages that were coming through. Now that I'm more in my spiritual journey than I was 5 years ago, it all makes so much more sense than ever before. And I'm very excited to share more and more of what's happening in my life, what's transpired since taking a leap of faith. So in my corporate career, I was there for 12 years. I was successful, what people would claim as being successful. I had my house, bought my first house at 25, sold it, bought another house at 30, and my son was doing really well. I've been a mom since I was 17. I have, it was just him and I for most of his life, and dated here and there, not important. That's a whole other story. That's a whole other podcast. We're not even going to go there. Oh my goodness. But when he was in grade 11, I had like this huge, just like something was happening to me. Like I was depressed. I was crying all the time. I was angry all the time. I was taking my anger out on him, and it was not fair to him at all. And it was because I was so unhappy with the situation that I was in, and I knew I needed to get out of it. So he was in grade 11, and I'm thinking, okay, like there's one more year until he's done school. He's going to get a job. Like he's going to be okay. And decided to just take a leap of faith. And it was like literally 12 years and a month to the day that I put in my resignation and left, which if you know anything about numbers and 12s are like the ending of something. Like there's 12 months in a year, there's 12 zodiac signs, depending on who you talk to. Um, again, a whole other story. But when I was leaving this job, like it was seriously, I had no idea what I was going to do. I had started a fitness journey. I really wanted to get more into fitness, personal training. I knew when I left that I wanted to help people feel more confident, feel better in themselves, and just change their lives because I saw what was happening to me just through my fitness journey. But then there was still something inside of me that was like so angry and upset. I looked great on the outside. Like that was the best shape I've ever been in. And then I started a job with a kombucha company, and then I got even better shape, and I was still teaching fitness, and I was still like, there was still something that was missing. And because I knew when I left my corporate job that I really wanted to help people and I really wanted to start my own business, I was Googling stuff and, the algorithm of Instagram, how it brings people in. So it brought in this one woman, and she had her own program that was like helping people build websites and whatever. So I started following her. And her mom had a store that was out in Cochrane. For those of you that are familiar with the Alberta area, Calgary and area is where I reside. And so she was opening up this crystal store out in Cochrane, and I saw the bowls, and I didn't know what they were. I just knew that I had to follow whatever this was, just like leaving the corporate realm. And there's so many things. I'm gonna try and stay on track here with my monkey mind that goes all over the place. So I saw the bowls. I knew I had to go. I didn't know why. I started looking into it, and I was like, what is a sound bath? What does this even mean? I'd started meditating back in 2017. So I look it up. Okay, so it's like kind of a guided meditation with these bowls, which I had no idea the power of these bowls at all. Currently, I am a sound healer myself, so I love sharing this gift with people, and I love sharing what the bowls do with people. So 2019, September, I finally find a friend to go with me because I was at a point in my life where I didn't do anything by myself, and now I'll do anything by myself, and I will not miss out because I have nobody to go with. I will just go. And I love being in that space in my life. Anyway, so I go to the sound bath, and I felt something within me shift. I wasn't sure what it was. I had no idea. Like I skyrocketed out into the ethers, and wasn't really sure what was going on, what was happening. And I knew after that first session, though, that I needed to go back. And this was a point in my life where I was drinking like every Friday throughout the week. I would be hungover on Saturday mornings, and then like still go out on Saturday nights and just spend the whole weekend like hungover, miserable, and just hating life. So this was 2019. And my Friday nights turned into going to sound baths and sitting by a river. So going into this beautiful meditation and then going to connect with Mother Nature. And I could just feel these shifts starting to happen within my body, and I was not sure what was going on. So I started staying later, like when everybody else was gone, and I would like talk to Martha, who owned the store at the time, and Jess, who was there as well. And I would just ask them questions of like, why does this happen? Because I got super curious as to what was going on within myself. And then I also noticed shifts within my world, which was even more cool because as far as I knew, I was just going and meditating, which if anybody meditates out there, it's a beautiful thing, and it's a gift that will change your life dramatically. And I love telling people to incorporate even like 10 minutes a day. You don't have 10 minutes, do 5. And then you're going to see how your nervous system reacts and how it just calms, and like things start shifting within you, which this podcast is going to be super woo for anybody out there who is listening and partaking, I'm going to talk about magic. I'm going to talk about herbs. I'm going to talk about psychedelics. I'm going to talk about tantra. There's going to be so many things that are going to come up and transpire. And I know this because it's already happening. And this is the very first episode. I've interviewed a bunch of people already because I wanted to get a bunch in all at once so that I could edit them and then put them out to the world, because this one's going to take a lot of work. And I am the editor, I am the producer, I am the host, I am the everything within this podcast, and it does take time. So here we are with the first episode explaining who I am to you and what I'm doing on this crazy wild journey. So going back to Amaryllis, and all these things shifting in my life. And that was September of 2019. So everybody knows what happened in March of 2020. And I also was in a really bad depression in 2019 where I was taking sleeping pills and like I didn't have all of them, weren't gone yet. And I was drinking at the time, and I just kept thinking, like, if I take all of these and I drink a bottle of wine, I won't wake up. And I'm sure I'm not the only one out there who's had that thought, like, what do I have to do to not wake up tomorrow? And it's such a hard place to be. But I also have my son at the time, right? Living at home. And it's like, he's 17. I can't do that to him because my good God, that is like so selfish. And I knew I had to get through it. And I found sound healing, which helped me beyond words of what I could have explained, like going to talk therapy. I knew I didn't want to be on antidepressants because I've never been a big fan of pharmaceuticals. And yet I had these sleeping pills, right? So I told a friend what was going on with me. We were out drinking at the local pub, and like our neighborhood pub. And he told me that he was coming and we're going to throw these pills down the toilet because this is absolutely ridiculous. So we flushed them and went on our merry ways. And I'm still trying to figure out what can I do to stop this pain? What can I do to make this go away? Bring in sound healing, which for those of you who don't know what sound healing is, it is bowls that I have been working with, like most of the first sound bath that I went to, the bowls that I have myself, the sound baths that I still go to are Alchemy crystal singing bowls, which are made by a company in the States. And they are made out of 99.9% quartz crystal, which means that they have the same materials in them as like cell phones and microwaves. And there's so many other things, and I always forget them. But that same technology is within these bowls. So because of that, the energy that is within the sound session goes throughout your entire body, and it goes through your entire chakra system. For those of you out there who know what chakras are, and if you don't, we're going to dive into it. Don't you worry. And I love them so much because all you have to do is show up and experience them, which is like so beautiful and so important. Like it doesn't have to be like, how do I explain this? Okay, let's backtrack a little bit. Think of it as going to the gym, going to a personal trainer. Like you have to show up and do the work. Like thinking healing doesn't happen for you. It happens when you're ready, and the tools start showing up when you're ready. So when you go to a sound bath, it's like the same thing as going to a personal trainer, that you go there and the personal trainer gives you the workout. You go there and the bowls give you the energy that you need that are going to help you with whatever's stuck. And I remember some sessions, like when I first started, I just started bawling out of nowhere, and I had no idea what was going on within my system, like what was shifting, why I was crying. And all of these beautiful things in my life just started happening generically and like amazing. I started going to sound baths, and then I got my dream job. Like I finally got the job of being the personal trainer and fitness instructor and manager of a spin studio. And then 2020 hit, and this whole different realm of things opened up, and this brand new door that I didn't even know existed opened for me. And it's been an incredible journey. So 2021, I buy my first set of bowls, which are like, if you ever go snoop on my website, they're the see-through ones. They were my first 4 bowls. And that was April of 2021. So I've been facilitating sound baths ever since. And I have seen so much transformation. Like right now, I work one-on-one with people and in groups. And when people come to a one-on-one session, I find them so special because it's that person in the room that is experiencing that energy and experiencing that healing in every bowl and every hit and every just sound that is coming through. And this is how I play the bowls for those of you watching on YouTube, is specifically for that person in the room and nobody else, because there is nobody else. And I love groups too, because when everybody gets up from a big group session, it's like you can just see on all these people's faces, like how much that affected them and how beautiful of a journey they just got. So I'm honored that this is my life and this is what I get to do and share with people, because it truly means so, so much to me. And I absolutely love getting to bring this to people. I currently have 9 bowls. I'm in the process of getting one more, which I'm so excited for when I finally get it. And I have also gone like on this big journey because I found sound healing. I found cold dips. I quit drinking. I sold everything and left the country. And then I found breath work, and I found Sanenga, and I found Hape, and I found ayahuasca. And all of these things just started happening because I just started listening and I started trusting. And that's such a hard thing to do. And I also understand that not everybody out there is able to do what I did because of financial situations. I sold my house is what I got to do in order to do all of these crazy cool things. And people have kids, people have jobs, like that's not an option. But because of where I was at in my life, I had the option to just give it all away, sell everything, put stuff in storage, and just go and work on my healing journey, which brought me so much into my life and also took out a lot of things in my life. Took out people, it took out places, it took out things. And that's honestly, it's the ebbs and flows of life. Like when we finally step into this journey and we finally allow ourselves to look at our traumas and look at the things that have happened to us, things start changing and we start changing, which is the biggest thing. So, so big. Like changing the relationship with myself has been the biggest game changer in my life for sure. And that is not something that is easy. I've said this so many times on my Instagram that when you go into this, it is not for the faint of heart, because you have to look at you. You have to look at how you've shown up, how you haven't shown up, how you've hurt people, how you've disappointed people, how you've disappointed yourself, how you haven't shown up for yourself. And that's not for everybody. And I understand that. There's like, clearly I'm releasing, there's like burps coming up right now. And anyone who's in the spiritual realm understands like burps coming up. It's not because I had a pop. It's energy coming up. And the truth is coming up. So when we move into this journey of finding ourselves and looking at ourselves and truly meeting ourselves as who we are today, who we want to be. And this is my favorite line lately, is like, how big is that gap? How big is the gap of who you are now to who you want to be? If there even is a gap. And there could be some people out there that are like, no, I'm good. Everything's great. Life is perfect. Okay. meet people where they're at. 100%. That's not judgment. But if you think your life is perfect, I would love to have a conversation with you. Please, let's have a conversation. Come on the podcast. Come and talk to me. And finding different modalities to meet yourself has been one of the biggest things in my life. When I first sat, I'm going to go to my first ayahuasca ceremony. It was so funny because my roommate at the time was supposed to go, and she had this all planned out. Like, she knew she was going for like a few weeks, and when she was going, she was getting her ride. She knew how much it was. Like, she was going at this specific time. And then what ended up happening was she ended up staying home, and I went on like a different ayahuasca journey with different people. But I still went, and I was like eating healthy, and I was doing all the things, and I kind of jumped into it. Let's take out the kind of. I jumped into my very first ayahuasca ceremony because it was given to me on a platter. Had no intention on going to ayahuasca. When I moved to Costa Rica, seeds have been planted, like, oh, you should go and do it. And I was like, I don't know. Got a couple of contacts before I left. I just didn't know if it was my thing. And then because my roommate was talking about it so much, and then a friend of mine was like, hey, I'm going, which was, I believe Karina was the one that was organizing it, and she is going to be on the podcast, Plug in Mind. So she's organizing it. She's getting people together. And all of a sudden I just decide to go. I was like, okay, like, let's see what happens. Because people are talking about this, and like, I'd done mushrooms recreationally, I'd smoked pot, I think I did ecstasy like once, and I just wanted to see, like, what is this, right? And then I slept through 2 nights of ceremony. I drank the 4 cups that were offered to me, and I ended up not seeing what everything happens exactly how it's supposed to. But I ended up sleeping through the whole thing, which was also very interesting because, like, I was kind of there and I kind of wasn't. And I was also meditating at the time. So the next morning after the first night, I went into a meditation, which you start at like 10 p.m. and we were done at 5 a.m. So I was probably exhausted too. Take out the probably. I was exhausted. And I went to another ceremony and this didn't happen. Anyway, so I go into a meditation the very next day, and I see the entire night, literally the entire night, from like people going up to get their medicine, from people getting the healings, from people walking back and forth to the bathroom, to people purging beside me, to the moon in the sky that from one end to the other, the guy that was walking around with the kapal. Like, I literally saw the entire night in 30 minutes. And I remember coming out of the meditation and being like, what was that? Like, I was sleeping the whole time. What was that? Why show me this now, but not show me in it? And still to this day, I'm sure I will understand eventually. But to this day, I still was like, slept through it. What? Next night, same thing. I took the cup and then I went down, and I just, like, in a fetal position. I do remember one visual of like this big black hallway with like lit doors coming up, and this loud voice being like, I can't hear you. And it was like over and over and over again, like, I can't hear you. I can't hear you. And that was the second night. And I was just like, what in the heck is this? And I was nauseous the whole time. I purged once the next day after the first night. The second night, I purged and was like in the bathroom at the same time. And that was it. Other than that, I was sleeping, and like people beside me are purging like the whole time, back and forth to the bathroom, like the whole time. I'm like, what am I doing wrong in this ceremony that, like, this isn't doing what it's doing to others? And when I had my healing that night, the shaman, was such a huge realization of like, I thought I was doing the work and I wasn't. Full out, I wasn't. Like, I thought I was, but spiritual bypassing, definitely me, 100%. When I first started this journey, like, oh, I'm good, everything's perfect. And I didn't love myself. I was not doing the work to love myself. This past year has been a huge dive into truly loving myself and showing up for myself and showing myself how important I am to me, which has been so freaking beautiful and transformative. And I have come to the realization of a lot of things over the past year about me. And that's why I say this journey is not for the faint of heart. So that was my first experience with ayahuasca, which we will definitely be talking about. Other people who serve the medicine, other people who have worked with the medicine, because the second ceremony that I went into, my ego got me there, hands down, 100%. Two of the people that were facilitating are really big on YouTube, and I just wanted to be in the room with them because I was like, oh my God, I can say that, da, da, da. And 90% of people that I tell who they are, they don't know who they are. So I'm like, at least my ego got me there, because that experience was massively transformative in what I needed to heal and what I needed to go through. And what happened within that ceremony, like the first part of it, after I took the first cup, and there's a lingo around this, which you listen longer and you'll get the lingo if you're new to plant medicine journeys and how they work and the lingo. Anyway, so after the first cup, I am purposely in a space that I wanted to make sure I had something to lean up against, because I didn't want to fall asleep in this one. And after I went and sat back down, I was laying down, and then I got this really loud message, like, if you don't sit up right now, you're going to miss everything. So I was like, okay. So I got up and I sat there, and I don't know if I've ever cried that much in my life. Like my whole journey in Costa Rica, I cried a lot. I've never cried that much in like my whole life, I'm pretty sure. But this one ceremony, I think I was crying for like 40 minutes. Like time is an illusion, but I just remember like it just wouldn't stop. And I was just like, this isn't even mine. Like these tears that are coming right now are for like my ancestors and my sisters and my mom and like all the women that I've met who have been deceived, and like the women of the world and even the men of the world. Because while I was crying, there was this gentleman that was like across the shala from me. And I just remember him sitting there and like thinking, he's holding this masculine space for me right now to help me get rid of all of this. And it was so beautiful. And that was the first night. And that's just like a part of the first night. This one was such a huge transformation. It was wild. And then the second night, I chose a different spot because I wanted to just like dive in deeper. So the first night I was on the feminine side, and the second night I was on the masculine side. And the second night was, I think it was after the second cup. The spirits came in. I don't know where that came from. But while I was laying there, I remember like this huge, huge transformational part was I had a male on my feminine side and a female on my masculine side of my body. So for those of you who don't know, your right side is the masculine and your left side is the feminine. So I have her on my right and I have him on my left. And all of a sudden, like I feel all of this stuff coming up, and he turns his back to me. And then all of a sudden she turns her back to me. And it's like, I had this protection around me of, we've got you, let it go. And I just felt all of this anger and just like turmoil that's been sitting in my body for so long, just like leaving. And it was so incredibly powerful. And I got brought into moments of my mom's life in this ceremony, and I felt how she felt, and I saw what she saw. And anyone who's sat with any of these medicines, like they are so powerful and so healing, and they help you truly like go in to the shit that's happened to you. Like go in and look at it Stop ignoring it. Stop thinking that the more I push this down, the better it's going to be for me to just forget it all happened. That's not how this works, is what I've come to the conclusion of, because I was doing that for years. I quit drinking 2.5 years ago, and that was like the best decision I have ever made, because now I actually get to look at my shit. I'm not suppressing anything anymore. I'm not pushing anything down anymore. Things come up, and not only do I get to observe the other person, but I get to observe what I'm doing in that situation, like when you get triggers of things coming up. So it's amazing when we finally get into this work and we find the tools that help us. While I was living in Costa Rica, I also had some amazing breathwork transformation ceremonies that happened. Like, I remember a friend of mine who I'm taking the training right now. I'm going to be certified by the end of the year. And a friend of mine was beside me, and I just remember like thinking, he's letting his shit go and he's just going nuts, right? And I was like, fuck, like I need to do this too. Like I'm here for this. And I just shaking and screaming and then crying and just letting it all out. This is what I know to be my truth. Had I had these tools while I was in my corporate career, I believe I would have shown up better. They didn't come into my life at that time because they weren't supposed to, because I wasn't ready. And now, knowing what I know, my goal is to teach as many people as I possibly can what these tools can do to transform your life, to transform you, to help you show up better for you. And then just see the ripple effect of all the things that happen in your world, that you show up better and you do better and you just are better in the world. Because this world, it kind of fucking sucks right now. Let's be honest. But we're all here. We're all here for a reason. And those who aren't here anymore, my goodness, my heart goes out to every single one of you that like anybody who knows somebody that took their life, like that is so sad. And it sucks. And it's because we're so disconnected from one another that this bullshit is happening in the world. But when we go to these things and we see that there's community and we see that there's love and see that there's unity, this is the things that we need to change the world. But not everybody knows that these tools exist. But they do, and they're beautiful, and they're like-minded people who want to show you how you can blow up this world with love and expansion and acceptance. Yeah. There's so many tools out there. So many. And they need to be talked about. They need to be shared. And that is my mission. My mission is to help as many people as possible realize that there are different modalities that have been like illegalized. Is that a word? I don't even know. They've become illegal because they help people. And I'm pissed off about that. I'm pissed off because there's these tools that can help you get out of anxiety, get out of depression, help you like fully step into this beautiful version of you that's happy and healthy and thriving. And they can be free too. Breath work, find it online. Yoga, find it online. Like there's so many things. So this is going to be what I'm talking about. I'm going to share my own journey. I am going to interview so many people. This is just the teaser for what is to come. I am definitely going to be reading people's comments on YouTube so that I can help as many people as I possibly can if you have questions. I also want to make sure that people are finding safe spaces if they're looking to do any type of plant medicine, whether it be ayahuasca or psilocybin or LSD or MDMA. Like I'm learning currently about all of these tools that as long as you're using them in a specific space, they will change your life. There is recreational. I get it. Go do your thing, have fun, live life. And if you truly want to change your life in the way that you're showing up, having the intention of going into your traumas and going into the things that are in your shadow self and giving them love and giving them attention and just showing up for yourself, it changes the game. It changes the whole game and it changes your whole life. So I want to make sure that if people are out there and they're looking for these things, my goal is to find the people who are in integrity with authenticity and that are here to help people heal. Because to me, it's not about the money. The money is going to flow no matter what, as long as I am living in alignment and I am showing up for myself every single day. And if I am not, then obviously the money's not going to flow. And it's also a limiting belief of like not having that money. So here we are. Welcome to the very first episode of MagiK and the Modern Psychonaut. Please leave comments. Please come follow the Instagram page. I will definitely take recommendations if you know people who are living in integrity, doing this work, helping change people's lives. Because the more we know and the more this information gets out there, the better it's going to be for people to find the safe spaces, and for the people who are doing it out of not in integrity, that they'll get shut down. And energetically, it doesn't work when you're not in integrity anyway. So let's spread it. Let's spread the love. Let's spread the message. Let's do the things that are going to help change the world. And that's why I'm here. So welcome to the very first episode of MagiK and the Modern Psychonaut.